Welcome back, determined builders, to Hidden Pages. Today, we're diving into the extraordinary life of Lee Byung-chul, the visionary founder of Samsung. When you think of Samsung, you probably think of cutting-edge smartphones, incredible TVs, and powerful microchips. But the story of how this global giant began, led by a man who dreamed bigger than his circumstances, is one of audacious ambition, relentless diversification, and a profound commitment to his nation's prosperity. This very detailed and inspiring story about Lee Byung-chul is crafted to ignite your own entrepreneurial spirit and show you the power of thinking long-term. We'll explore his humble beginnings in a war-torn country, how he moved from trading rice to textiles, and then to electronics and beyond. We'll witness the incredible challenges he faced and how his unwavering dedication transformed a small trading company into a powerhouse that significantly shaped South Korea's economic miracle. Prepare to be incredibly motivated by a pioneer who built not just a company, but helped lay the foundation for a nation's technological future. Chapter 1: The Entrepreneurial Spark. From humble beginnings to big dreams. Our incredible story of Samsung begins with Lee Byung-chul, born in 1910 in a small farming village in South Korea, which was then under Japanese colonial rule. His family was relatively wealthy landowners, which afforded him a better education than many during that time. He even studied at Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan, though he didn't complete his degree, returning home early. Upon his return, instead of settling into a comfortable life, Lee Byung-chul felt a powerful entrepreneurial spark. He saw opportunities everywhere, even in a difficult economic climate. In 1938, with just 30,000 won, a relatively small sum at the time, he founded a small trading company in Daegu, Korea, which he named Samsung Sangho. What did Samsung Sangho trade? Initially, it was very basic. Dried fish, sourced from local markets. Locally grown groceries, like fruits and vegetables. Noodles, produced in his own small noodle-making mill. His most significant early trade was exporting dried Korean vegetables and fruits to Manchuria, northeast China. This might sound simple, but in those days, it required immense logistical skill, navigating complex political landscapes, and building reliable networks. Lee Byung-chul was already demonstrating a keen understanding of supply chains and market demand. He worked tirelessly, focusing on quality and efficiency, always seeking to expand his reach. His vision was clear even then, to build a company that was big, vast, and everlasting, the very meaning of the Korean word Samsung, or 3 stars. He wasn't thinking small, he was thinking about a future where his company would be a significant force. He understood that in order to grow, he needed to constantly look for new opportunities and adapt to changing times. This initial venture, though far removed from microchips or smartphones, laid the fundamental groundwork for his entrepreneurial journey, teaching him valuable lessons about trade, management, and the importance of diversification, a principle that would guide Samsung's growth for decades to come. Chapter 2: Navigating Tumultuous Times, Rebuilding and Diversifying. The mid-20th century was an incredibly challenging period for South Korea. The country endured the end of Japanese colonial rule, followed by the devastating Korean War, 1950 to 1953. This conflict utterly destroyed much of the nation's infrastructure and economy. Businesses crumbled, and chaos reigned. Lee Byung-chul, like many others, saw his early ventures disrupted and nearly wiped out by the war. But instead of despairing, he saw the post-war period as a time for rebuilding and opportunity. He understood that a devastated country would need everything, from basic necessities to infrastructure. After the war, Lee Byung-chul pivoted Samsung's focus, venturing into new, essential industries that would help rebuild the nation. Sugar refining. In 1953, he established Chiljeon, which later became CJ Group, creating the first modern sugar refinery in Korea. This was crucial because sugar was a basic necessity, and importing it was expensive. By producing it locally, he helped provide an essential commodity for the recovering population. Textiles. In 1954, he founded Chilmojik, a woolen mill. Textiles were another vital industry for a country looking to clothe its people and earn foreign currency through exports. He focused on producing high-quality fabrics, once again demonstrating his commitment to excellence. Insurance and securities. Understanding the need for financial stability in a developing economy, Samsung also ventured into insurance and securities. Department stores. He even opened a department store, recognizing the burgeoning consumer market as the economy slowly improved. Lee Byung-chul's strategic diversification was not random. He carefully chose industries that were fundamental to South Korea's reconstruction and future economic development. He often collaborated closely with the South Korean government, which was actively promoting large domestic companies, known as chaebols, to lead the nation's economic growth. He was a master at identifying national needs and aligning Samsung's business ventures to meet them, laying the groundwork for what would become South Korea's economic miracle. His ability to navigate such tumultuous times, from colonial rule to devastating war and rebuilding, demonstrated his incredible resilience, foresight, and adaptability. He wasn't just building businesses, he was actively participating in the rebirth of his nation, with Samsung growing alongside Korea's rising fortunes. Chapter 3: The Leap into Electronics, Daring to Dream Bigger. As South Korea gradually recovered from the war, Lee Byung-chul, ever the visionary, looked ahead to the next big wave of global industry, electronics. In the late 1960s, this was a huge, ambitious leap for a company primarily involved in trading, textiles, and food processing. At the time, cutting-edge electronics were dominated by companies in Japan, the United States, and Europe. For a Korean company to enter this field seemed almost impossible. But Lee Byung-chul believed that if South Korea was to become a truly developed and prosperous nation, it had to embrace high-tech industries. He envisioned a future where Samsung would not just trade goods, but create cutting-edge technology that would be recognized worldwide. So, in 1969, a pivotal year, Samsung officially entered the electronics industry with the establishment of Samsung Electronics. Their very first products were relatively simple. Black and white televisions, these were essential appliances for homes as the economy improved. Washing machines and refrigerators, basic home appliances that improved daily life. These initial products might not sound glamorous today, but they were a massive undertaking for Samsung then. They required significant investment in research, development, and manufacturing capabilities. Lee Byung-chul poured resources into learning from established international companies, often through partnerships, but always with the long-term goal of developing Samsung's own independent technological prowess. He wasn't afraid to take risks and invest heavily in areas that would seem too ambitious for others. He famously believed in borrowing brains, recruiting the best talent from around the world, whether they were engineers, scientists, or managers, to bring their expertise to Samsung and to train Korean talent. He knew that technology was the key to future growth, and he was determined that Samsung would be at the forefront. This bold move into electronics set Samsung on a path that would redefine its destiny and, in many ways, South Korea's too. It required immense courage, long-term planning, and a deep conviction that a Korean company could compete on the global stage of advanced technology. Lee Byung-chul was not just building consumer products, he was building a foundation for a nation's technological future, demonstrating his relentless drive and unwavering belief in Samsung's potential. Chapter 4: Building a Legacy of Innovation, From Chips to Global Leadership. As Samsung Electronics grew, Lee Byung-chul continued to push the company into increasingly complex and high-tech areas. He had an incredible foresight for future trends and was never content to stay still. One of his most audacious and impactful decisions came in the 1980s. To invest massively in semiconductors, specifically memory chips. At the time, this was an incredibly capital-intensive and technologically demanding field, dominated by giants in the US and Japan. Many advised him against it, saying it was too risky and that Samsung didn't have the expertise. But Lee Byung-chul, then in his 70s, was convinced that memory chips would be the rice of the information age. He saw them as the fundamental building blocks of all future electronics, computers, mobile phones, and beyond. He believed that whoever controlled chip technology would control the future. He famously committed an enormous investment, pouring resources into building state-of-the-art fabrication plants and recruiting top scientists and engineers from around the world. This was a high-stakes gamble, but it paid off spectacularly. Through relentless effort, continuous improvement, and an unshakable commitment to R&D, Samsung eventually became a global leader in memory chip production, a position it largely maintains today. This success was a testament to Lee Byung-chul's courage, his long-term vision, and his willingness to make massive, strategic investments that prioritized future growth over immediate profits. Beyond chips, Samsung continued to innovate under his guidance, and that of his successors who inherited his philosophy. They moved from simple black and white TVs to color TVs, then to flat-panel displays. They entered the mobile phone market, starting with basic models and eventually dominating the smartphone industry with innovative designs and technology. They invested in household appliances, heavy industries, and even construction. Lee Byung-chul meticulously managed his growing conglomerate, emphasizing a culture of relentless self-improvement, disciplined execution, and continuous learning. He believed in attracting the best talent and fostering an environment where they could thrive. He often visited factories and research labs himself, showing a hands-on interest in every detail. By the time of his passing in 1987, Lee Byung-chul had transformed Samsung from a small trading company into a vast, diversified conglomerate that was a major player in numerous industries, from electronics to heavy manufacturing. He had laid the technological and philosophical foundation for Samsung to become a true global leader, recognized for its innovation and quality worldwide. His legacy is etched not just in Samsung's success, but in South Korea's transformation into an economic powerhouse. Chapter 5: A Nation's Pride, Samsung's Enduring Legacy and the Spirit of Lee Byung-chul. Lee Byung-chul passed away in 1987, but his vision and values continue to be the guiding principles for Samsung, which has grown to become South Korea's largest conglomerate and one of the world's most powerful and recognizable brands. His successors, notably his son Lee Koon-hee and grandson Lee Jae-yong, have continued to build upon his foundation, driving Samsung into the cutting edge of modern technology. The legacy of Lee Byung-chul is far-reaching, deeply intertwined with South Korea's incredible journey from poverty to prosperity. His story offers powerful lessons for anyone aspiring to build something great. Audacious vision and long-term thinking, from trading dried fish to making microchips, Lee Byung-chul always looked decades ahead. He had a grand vision for Samsung to be vast and everlasting, and he made bold, long-term investments even when short-term risks were high. Relentless diversification and adaptability. He constantly sought new opportunities and was unafraid to pivot Samsung into completely new industries when the market or national needs changed. His ability to adapt and expand was key to Samsung's survival and growth through tumultuous times. Commitment to quality and technology. He understood early on that to compete globally, Samsung's products had to be of the highest quality, and it had to invest heavily in technological advancement and R&D. He believed in mastering core technologies. Borrowing brains and valuing talent, he knew Samsung couldn't do it alone. He actively recruited top talent from around the world and created a culture that valued expertise and continuous learning. Perseverance through adversity. He built his company through colonial rule, a devastating war, and economic hardship. He faced numerous challenges but never gave up on his dream of building a powerful enterprise that would contribute to his nation. National contribution. His motivation wasn't purely personal wealth. He genuinely believed that building strong, innovative companies like Samsung was essential for South Korea's economic independence and future prosperity. His work was deeply tied to patriotic ideals. Lee Byung-chul wasn't just a businessman, he was a nation builder. He created an industrial giant that became a symbol of South Korea's emergence as a technological and economic powerhouse. His life story is a testament to the power of a clear vision, unwavering determination, strategic thinking, and the courage to make bold, long-term investments in a future that others might not yet see. The spirit of Samsung, driven by innovation and excellence, is a direct reflection of its formidable founders' enduring legacy. In clear, simple terms, Lee Byung-chul started Samsung in 1938 in South Korea with very little money. First, he traded things like dried fish and noodles. He had a big dream for Samsung to be big, vast, and everlasting. After a big war in Korea, he didn't give up. He started new businesses making sugar and clothes to help rebuild the country. Then, in 1969, he made a very bold move. He started Samsung Electronics to make TVs and washing machines, even though Korea was not strong in electronics yet. Later, he made a very risky choice to invest huge money in making computer chips, believing they were the future. This paid off, and Samsung became a world leader. Lee Byung-chul always believed in long-term vision, adapting to change, and making very high-quality things. He also believed in hiring the best people to help Korea grow. His life teaches us to dream big, work very hard, never give up when times are tough, and always look for the next big thing to make a huge difference.